All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on a fintech giant that's completely changed the way millions of us shop. We're going deep inside Klarna, from their core business idea all the way to a step-by-step guide on how you could actually land a job there. So here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with the big idea that started it all. Then we'll look under the hood at how they actually make money. From there, we'll dive into their unique Klarnat culture, get a peek inside the machine itself, and then wrap up with what you're all here for: how to get hired. All right, first things first. Let's really get to the heart of what Klarna is all about. What is their fundamental pitch to the world? What problem are they really trying to solve? Well, at its core, Klarna draws a very clear line in the sand between itself and traditional credit cards. Their argument is that the old model, it kind of profits from keeping you in debt. Klarna, on the other hand, frames itself as a fairer, more sustainable way to pay, one that's all about helping you make smarter decisions with your money on every single purchase. And this idea, it's really caught on. We are talking about 150 million consumers around the globe. This isn't some niche service anymore. It's a massive platform connecting all of us with more than 500,000 retailers. And you've got to understand, this is so much more than just a buy now, pay later button at checkout. It's a whole shopping ecosystem. They've got an app that's basically a shopping mall, a browser extension, and yeah, even a physical card. They really want to be with you every step of the way. Okay, so that's the big picture. Now, let's pop the hood and see how this thing actually works as a business. How does Klarna generate cash? And maybe more importantly, how does it handle its single biggest challenge: risk? So, where's the money coming from? You might think it's all from consumer fees or interest, but Klarna's main revenue stream actually comes from the retailers themselves. See, they pay Klarna a fee because the service gets more people to click buy and often leads to them spending more. For a retailer, it's a really powerful tool. But here's the catch. For any of this to work, Klarna has to be an absolute master at managing this one thing: credit risk. This is the whole ballgame for them. It's the chance that a customer won't pay them back after Klarna has already paid the store. And this is where it gets really interesting. Instead of a one-time credit check like a normal credit card, they use this dynamic three-stage system. Every time you buy something, you start in stage 1. But if your risk profile changes, maybe you move to stage 2. If things go south, you're in stage 3. It's a constant, real-time assessment of risk. Okay, so with a business model that complex, you need a very specific kind of company culture to make it all tick. So what's it actually like to work there? Let's dive into the culture of the Klarnats, as they call themselves. This quote from an engineer inside Klarna gives us a pretty good clue. He talks about an appreciation game that's tied directly to one of their core leadership principles: let the team shine. That tells you there's a huge focus on teamwork and recognizing each other's contributions. And that principle is just one of 8 that really form the backbone of their culture. They guide everything. But if you talk to people who work there, they'll tell you there's one principle that stands above all the rest: customer obsession. Everything, and I mean everything, comes back to that. So how do they actually put those principles into practice? Well, they've structured the whole company like a fleet of tiny startups. You've got these small, cross-functional teams, no more than 8 people, and they're given total ownership over a specific problem space. It's all designed for speed and accountability. All right, let's zoom out from the individual teams for a second and look at the bigger picture. How is the whole machine organized? And, maybe most importantly, how are they using AI to innovate, not just for us as customers, but for themselves? So, those small, agile teams we just talked about, they don't just float around in chaos. They're actually part of a very clear structure. Teams roll up into groups. Groups make up domains, and the people running the domains report right up to the top. It's their way of getting that startup energy with big company control. And you can't talk about Klarna's internal machine without talking about AI. I mean, just listen to this quote from the CEO. They're not just thinking about chatbots. They're building things like an AI deep interview robot to get feedback from their own employees. That's how deep it goes. And make no mistake, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky plan for the future. This is happening right now. The vast majority of their engineers are using AI to help them write code, and pretty much every single employee is using it in their day-to-day work. It's completely integrated. All right, so you've had the full briefing: the business, the culture, the tech. Which brings us to the main event for many of you: a step-by-step guide to navigating Klarna's famously tough hiring process. Now, if you're going for a technical role, brace yourself. This is not your typical interview loop. It's a full-on marathon designed to test you from every angle imaginable. It starts with logic tests, then a huge take-home project, and then multiple interviews digging into your code, your thinking, and your personality. So how do you prepare for that gauntlet? First, don't just grind coding problems. You have to practice logical reasoning and pattern recognition tests. They use those to screen people out early. Then, be ready to block off a serious chunk of time. We're talking 10+ hours for that take-home project. But most importantly, you have to come prepared with specific stories from your career that show how you live and breathe their 8 leadership principles. And you can bet you're going to get classic behavioral questions just like this one. They're not looking for a perfect answer here. What they're really testing is your self-awareness. Can you be honest about where you need to grow? You absolutely have to think through this stuff beforehand. And there you have it. We've walked through the business model, the unique culture, the tech powering it all, and the demanding path to get in the door. So after seeing everything that goes on inside, the only question left is the one on the screen.